This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
The cubs of the DMK take to the streets. Youth wing tried their hand at exposing Jayalalitha's delaying tactics in her wealth case. But taking on each other, the common man was inconvenienced gravely. Traffic in the city doesn't move for 2 hours. Meanwhile, in Jayalalitha's political tit for tat, she announces a fresh protest against the DMK, this time on the power habit. The DMK does not lose its status quo with Chennaiites, gifts the citizen with a desalination answer to their water woes. The massive drill Operation Hamla takes the city by surprise. Police test the efficacy of security agencies. India wakes up from the bad show. At the first two tests, they finally restrict Sri Lanka to a much lower 425. And brace yourself for the Hindu Metro Plus Theatre Festival. We bring you a sneak peek into what's lined up at the festival. Good evening, I am Evelyn Matthew and this is Headlines Now on Ndtv-Hindu. The DMK's show of strength has caused more damage to the voters, that's you and I, than to its rival, the AIA-DMK, who were the target of its rally in Chennai today. That and plenty more coming up on the bulletin. A look at the national stories making headlines. Come together and make India a better place. Pranab Babu asks all political parties to take on the inflationary pressure. Leader of the opposition Arun Jaitley goes on the offensive foot, calls Tamil Nadu an island government and the Prime Minister a silent spectator. In the games over the Commonwealth Games, a senior official who manipulated rates for taxi rentals comes under the scanner. The United Nations go into damage control mode, denies making any controversial remark over the Kashmir crisis. Barely out of one, Manipur braces for another 20-day blockade called by the same Naga group. Essential supplies are hit once again. In the latest from the to and fro between the main parties in the state, the DMK's youth wing took to the streets today, staging a statewide agitation against Jayalalitha's alleged delay in the disproportionate assets case. Protesters even tried to burn an effigy of Ms. Jayalalitha, but the effort was foiled by the police. This was, in fact, the first time the DMK was protesting over this issue. Party men across the state were asked to participate in large numbers, and the DMK called the protest in order to expose Jayalalitha's delaying tactics in the disproportionate assets case, which has been dragged now for 13 years. Meanwhile, Jayalalitha has said that this move has been designed to intimidate the court. A special court in Bengaluru has set the 6th of August for commencement of trial in this case.
வாய்தா வாங்குவதை கண்டிப்பதை நடத்துவது இந்த போராட்டம் மக்கள் அவர்களை அடையாளம் காண வேண்டும். தன் மீது போடப்பட்டிருக்கிற சொத்து குவிப்பு வழக்கில் ஆஜராகி தான் குற்றமற்றவள் என்று நிரூபிக்க வேண்டிய ஜெயலலிதா குற்றம் செய்திருக்கிற காரணத்தால் வழக்கை நடத்த விடாமல் தடுக்கிறார் என்பதை மக்கள் மன்றத்தில் எடுத்து சொல்வதற்காகத்தான் இந்த ஆர்ப்பாட்டம்.
Meanwhile, the advocates community condemned the protest, calling it unwarranted and unnecessary.
Needed is to ensure that there is speedy justice, that the prosecution act fast and then ensure that there's delivery of everything done quite fast, not merely in this case but many in all other cases also. I'm definite that you don't need an agitation against a single individual, whoever it be, whether it is Jayalalitha or any other person. Just because she's a public personnel or she's an opposition person, it doesn't mean that you should harness all your energies towards a protest which is going to be time consuming, money consuming, and also is going to be an inconvenience to the public at large.
Well, it was the DMK today which quite literally hijacked critical junctions in the city, leaving thousands of commuters stranded on Chennai's roads. Tomorrow it will be action replay courtesy the AIA-DMK, while political games in the form of protests and counter-protests are spilling over onto Chennai streets. It's the common man who is caught in the crossfire.
10 a.m. Saidapet. At the receiving end of this DMK protest was supposed to be Jayalalitha, but it's the ordinary people, men and women on their way to work, children on their way to school who were caught in the crossfire. Stuck for hours at Saidapet, considered to be the nodal point of the city. Even the mayor of Chennai joining in the cacophony, turning a blind eye to the plight of residents caught in the roar of dust and diesel when required, failing to put party over the people. No sign of remorse.
வாய்தா வாங்குவதை கண்டிப்பதை நடத்துவது இந்த போராட்டம் மக்கள் அவர்களை அடையாளம் காண வேண்டும். தன் மீது போடப்பட்டிருக்கிற சொத்து குவிப்பு வழக்கில் ஆஜராகி தான் குற்றமற்றவள் என்று நிரூபிக்க வேண்டிய ஜெயலலிதா குற்றம் செய்திருக்கிற காரணத்தால் வழக்கை நடத்த விடாமல் தடுக்கிறார் என்பதை மக்கள் மன்றத்தில் எடுத்து சொல்வதற்காகத்தான் இந்த ஆர்ப்பாட்டம்.
After the DMK held residents hostage, it will be the AIADMK whose cadres will pour out in the streets on Thursday. With the political vendetta played out in the streets, the helpless common man is clearly the victim. In Chennai, with reporter Shabir Ahmed, this is Lokpriya for Ndtv-Hindu.
And joining us on headlines now tonight, Ms. Sudha Rambalingam, an advocate, joins us this evening. Good evening, ma'am. I want you to answer this as a legal expert. What is your opinion of a ruling party of a state taking up an issue out on the streets at peak hours that's not even for the people, but just an opportunity to take on their rivals?
I would call this atrocious, very personal and petty-minded, and this is not something which has got to be encouraged. People will have to shun such activities of the ruling party. Whoever it be, even the opposition has no business to do such things, especially when it comes to just one particular case being adjourned for years together. We have greater issues at hand which has to be addressed to. Larger issues about the general judicial system itself could be addressed to by the state government, the ruling party. It could bring in more number of judges, more infrastructure, better provisions which would lead to speedy justice. Speedy justice for one particular case I do not think would warrant so much of attention, time and money of people, and inconveniencing so many people at large. People who even would be going to the doctors to see their doctor for an appointment or anything else are being inconvenienced. It shows that the ruling party has absolutely no regard for the people and they are only petty-minded.
So would you call this an absolutely unmindful act by people a lot of us think and are supposed to be our responsible people?
Yeah, definitely it is unmindful and it is also a very personal thing. See, wreaking personal vendetta, wreaking personal revenge is not the business of a ruling party. There are so many other issues, and the issue at large is about disproportionate wealth. It is common knowledge that the ruling party, MLAs, MPs and all the ministers also have disproportionate wealth, except that one case has gone up to the court, many others have not been going to the courts, that is all. And however important the matter might be and however much the delay is, it does not warrant such public protest, such waste of time and energy of the ruling party on the streets, inconveniencing the thousands of people using road.
Absolutely, and with those MLAs, it was also shocking to see the mayor, who is a top man in the city, to make sure that the city is calm and citizens are not affected. But quite an ironical side today. Are you disappointed with the way the city and the state is heading?
I am really disappointed. It is really atrocious, and it also shows how we are also unmindful of anything which is being done. We do not even question this. I suppose we have reached a time when the civil society will have to question the ruling party and the opposition party about this mindless protests on the streets which inconveniences people's routine. They just can't even exercise their own freedom to go to their offices or schools or hospitals or banks or wherever they want to go at the proper time. They can't keep their appointments just because a few of them want to be on the streets and block everything. And blocking roads and such ventures are real tamashas. They are not going to solve any problem. The ruling party and tomorrow the opposition party would also know that they can't do anything on the streets. They are not going to achieve their ends. Let them do things through means by which they can really achieve their ends. They have got to go file petition in the court to ensure that there is no delay. They are not going to get this speeded up by coming to the street.
Right. Now, before you and I can actually heave a sigh of relief that it's over, the AIADMK is going to come tomorrow out on the streets with their protests. It's going to be action replay, you think?
Yeah, definitely. That's why I am telling you that these are all petty things. If there is going to be a hike in electricity prices, we will have to think about it in a very rational way. The opposition party should sit with along with the mainstream party, the ruling party also, work out the modus operandi about how to bring down these prices and the ways and means of plugging other loopholes, getting to giving positive ideas to bring down the prices. Going to street is not going to bring down any price hike or going to speeden up a process in the courts. So, we will have to now ensure that these politicians learn their trade and also try to be honest in their protests. If by protest they are going to reach anything, reach out to the public, and they can also get some remedies, it could be all useful. But going to the road is not a panacea for any evil. So, why are they doing this? This is just to show their strength. It is a sort of a hooliganism running riot. It is really not something which could be appreciated by the civil society. It is not something which is democratic, which is being done. All this is only a show of strength put to each other.
Absolutely, and perhaps for a round of talks between our main parties, we might just have to wait longer and longer. Thanks very much indeed, Ms. Sudha Ramalingam, for joining us tonight on Headlines Now. Well, meanwhile, in the latest salvo fired by the AIADMK General Secretary Jayalalitha, she said that her party would protest again against power tariff hikes in Chennai. That's tomorrow. She strongly condemned the recent electricity rate hikes and said it would only add to the burden of the people. Well, some good news for the state. The state of Tamil Nadu is fast turning into the manufacturing hub of the country, with various companies betting big on the state. Earlier today, Videocon signed a mammoth 1,500 crore rupee MOU in the presence of the Chief Minister for setting up a colour television manufacturing plant in the Sivagangai district. A tyre manufacturing plant is also headed for the state, with JK Tyres committing to another colossal investment of about 1,500 crore rupees. The Indian Oil Corporation too is positive about the opportunities available and signed another MOU for setting up an LNG plant in the Ennore district. Well, still ahead on the bulletin, if there's something that woos a Madrasi woman, it's 9 feet long and has a tinge of gold on it. Stay tuned to find out. And what can you expect from this year's Hindu Metro Plus Theatre Festival? We tell you on the other side.